So, how do you really quantify, test, and evaluate product leadership? Today, we're giving you all the answers you need. Welcome aboard to the Product League stage, the orange place, where we give you all the answers you need. My name is Maria Casillas. I'm the founder and general manager of Product League, and we are here to support you in becoming the best product manager you can be. Product League is an international mentoring program for product managers by product managers, and today you're going to meet three of our mentors. They're going to join me here on this orange stage, and we're going to review together artifacts, programs, documents, everything that has to do with product leadership evaluation. And we are going to give you some secrets of our own. I hope that you're ready. We're just about to start. But before we do that, let's turn this event into our little product party. What do you say? So please go ahead and in the chat, let us know who you are, where you're from. What is your biggest question, wonder, request, or suggestion when it comes to product leadership evaluation? We are all ears, we are all eyes, and we are all here for you to support you on your journey. We're starting right now with meeting our first speaker for today. Let's welcome Martin Lazarga de Maria from San Francisco, Group Product Manager at Frequence and Product League Mentor. So excited to have you here with us today. What's up?
Hey, how's it going? Good morning. Excited to be here once again.
Yes, we had you here about 3 weeks ago, and we just had to have more of you, Martin. This is why you're back. We're going to talk about more tips, tricks, stories, everything that our audience needs to know in order to evaluate leadership the right way. And I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from you. I'm excited myself. Can't wait to hear all the stories that you are going to share. And what do you say? Shall we bring Ramya to our stage?
Let's go for it.
Get ready to learn from Ramya Grama from Seattle, founder and CEO at Starprize and Product League Mentor. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Maria. Super excited to be here. Thank you for the invite.
The pleasure is all mine. So excited to have you here with us. This is the first time, hopefully not the last time, that you all are on our stage here. And we're just excited to have you here with us, Ramya. So happy to learn from your experience. I'm sure that it's going to be a very interesting session today. And we're going to dive deeper into a few very interesting artifacts, don't you say? Don't you think?
Absolutely, and super charged to get started.
Yes, that's the spirit. And we just have one more speaker, David, that we have to meet first. Are you ready?
Absolutely, let's start.
Let's do that. And now it's time to say hello to David Habusha from Israel, founder, entrepreneur, product executive, and Product League Mentor. One of our veterans, I have to say.
Hey, oh yeah, I love every minute of it.
So excited to have you back on our stage. It has been a while, I have to say, since you've been here with us. The last time you've been here was on AMA and Ask Me Anything session like a few years back. So I'm excited not only about seeing you today and, getting to learn you, but also about having you back. And I think this is going to be an interesting session. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm also very excited to be here, and I'm sure that it's going to be a really insightful discussion between the three of us.
Oh yeah, can't wait. And with that in mind, let's bring Martin and Ramya back to our stage. Mentors, dear mentors, I am so excited about this opportunity to learn from you. It's going to be fantastic. Let's see who is joining us. We have Guy from Tel Aviv joining us. We have Amanda from New Jersey. We have Eddie. So many people in the audience are joining us because they want to learn more about this interesting topic named leadership evaluation for product managers. And we are here to support them on this journey, as we do at Product League on every day. And we're going to start with what we like to call the 10 commandments of leadership evaluation for product managers. Our mentors here are going to list their commandments, their go-to, their, the things that they think you all have to keep in mind, leaders, when we are talking about leadership evaluation. I'm going to start a discussion with one of my own, and then we're going to focus on the great mentors that we have here. The artifact that I want to learn with you guys, and the commandment we are going to talk about, is the fact that product management is a unique domain where leadership is not just about your department. Actually, to nail product leadership, you have to be a leader, or to show character of leader, working with all other departments. We are talking finance, we are talking marketing, we're talking sales. We, of course, talk about dev, okay? We have to find a way to show our leadership across all these departments, not just focus on ours. And this is when we start talking about product leadership evaluation done right. Martin, I know that you have 3 of your own to share with us. The stage is yours.
Awesome. Well, you just talked about integrating, right? Champion integration. So mine is about, fostering, a collaborative culture and, take action over just like a mere leadership talk. So as you mentioned, right, today is in this like very competitive landscape, like fostering like a collaborative culture isn't just a buzzword. It's a necessity that we have. So as product managers, we need to lead by example and prioritize action over mere leadership talk.
That's correct. I love this one. Thank you so much.
All right. Lead before you're a leader. Take early ownership. I love this one too. Like one of the key traits of effective product managers is the ability to lead even before officially assuming, the leadership title. This involves taking early ownership on projects, initiatives, and taking on any challenge to have that visibility and get stuff done.
So true. And this brings us to the third and last for now commandments from you, Martin.
Awesome. So it's all about understanding, like the game rules. Like try to skip every time, the politics. Focus always in being effective. So it's always like very difficult and daunting to, navigate organizational politics, especially in large corporations. But however, as product managers, our focus should always be on effectiveness rather than getting, entangled in politics maneuvers inside the companies.
I love that. 3 really, really good and important commandments that you shared with us, Martin. Thank you so much. And Ramya, that brings us to you because you've got 3 of your own to share. Are you ready?
Absolutely. I want to just add on saying that clarifying goals and having a clear North Star is crucial for any leader so that they actually provide the purpose and direction for the team. And I believe that that is the starting point to really get people to listen to you, to be that influencer, and at the same time, truly bringing people together and lifting them up. And that brings me to the next commandment that I had in mind, and that is more adding on to this thought of uniting. It is more on the aspect of driving autonomy and decentralizing and providing the ability for decentralized decision making. So that way people feel empowered and they want to come together, right? So it's not about you pulling people together, but people are coming behind your vision. And that is a mark of a true leadership, I believe. And the third one, and the most, I have seen this play out quite a bit, is elevating all. And this really is the root of being inclusive. And what does that mean? And setting standards, yes, so that everybody understands the expectations and there is a playbook, but then also being mindful and inclusive. So you not only are thinking about the product, it's never about the product, is it? Isn't it about the customers? So how do you elevate everyone to achieve that final goal? So these are the 3 main commandments I live and breathe by.
Wise words. Thank you very much, Ramya, for sharing this with us. David, it's now your turn. And I'm sure you're going to finish this 10 with 3 really great ones of your own. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
Let's
And
do
by
it.
the way, they all come from kind of like my entrepreneurship experience. So they're written with blood, as you say.
Blood, tears, and sweat. Here
Oh
we
yeah.
are. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So the first one is about creating a culture of having measurable, quantifiable goals. So whatever you decide to be your North Star, attach a metric to it. So you will be able to define success, failure, and how you get better and better with time to accommodate with the metric. Don't just put immeasurable goals, because that will probably get you nowhere.
And I love the fact that you're mentioning that, because mentors, as you know, one of the very first things that we do with our mentees when they join Product League, before we start the sessions with you, with the mentors, is asking our mentees to set their SMART goals. And for a very good reason, because if we want them to grow into product leaders, they should know how to quantify the success that we are working towards. So thank you very much, David. And we are continuing to the second one. Ready?
Oh yeah. And again, this is from kind of like being a product executive. Don't be shy to discuss problems with your leaders, but also with your team. It's okay. Everybody has problems. It's okay to find mutual solutions. But when you do that, come with some recommendations and some solutions. So don't just raise problems without any advice or without any recommendation. Come with at least 1 or 2 viable solutions, so that they will be able to discuss that as a team.
That's a really good one.
And this is it's from the startup world. Embrace failure. Don't be afraid to fail. It's okay. We all fail, and we fail multiple times. But whenever you fail, do a retrospect, understand what happened, and get better with time. And even embrace a culture of understanding failures and investigating the reason for the failures and getting better and better with time. That's how you always become a better and better leader, because you allow your team to make the decisions and not just to linger with some of the tough questions that they have.
I love that. And I agree with you on that, even like to a higher degree, because I think this is where leaders really show their expertise, by turning their leadership into a culture for the whole team, and not just about one person's skills or experience, but something that is bigger than just one person. So I absolutely love the commandments that you share with us. Thank you very much, all of you, because we now have 10 commandments for the product management community to follow and to lead leadership by. But we're not stopping here, because now we are going to review. This is a review session. We're going to review 6 artifacts together. But before we do that, as we love to do here at Product League, we want to give the audience the ability, the opportunity to ask everything that is on their mind and on their hearts when it comes to product leadership. And we will have an open Q&A at the closing of this session. So please, everyone who is watching us right now, type writing, okay? Go ahead. Share your wildest challenges, questions, dilemmas with us. We are ready. These 3 mentors here are ready for your toughest, juiciest questions. I can assure you that you will receive really good answers. So go ahead, use this opportunity, and also share a little bit about yourself. How is your leadership journey going on? Because we are here to support you. Now, the first artifact that we are going to share about product leadership is a leadership white paper. Ramya, you are the one who is going to review this one. We have it here on our screen. This is a white paper with trends, with best practices. I am going to go through that so our audience can see more of what is being shared here. And the stage is all yours. I'm all ears. Everyone here is all ears.
Thank you very much. And I truly enjoyed reading this white paper. And it really talks about something that as product managers, we see this happen every now and then. If you can like scroll up as a page above, it talks about really the challenges that a tactical, reactive product culture kind of provides to product management versus a culture that fosters strategic thinking and truly grows the practice and art of product management, right? And we see that some of the challenges, if you can scroll down, Maria, is, the thing that stood out to me and really spot on is the culture of just do it just because I said so. Well, how empowering is that? How inspiring is that, right? I've seen many product managers who are not actually product managers in that sense. It is just push the paper kind of an environment, and that isn't actually the best for the business. In fact, you're hurting the business if you think you're trying to drive efficiency by telling people what to do, but rather than posing the problem and providing a culture to have them discover, right? And I liked how in this white paper, the proposed solutions and the concept of a mini CEO and the optimum product is something that really stood out. And I would like to share an artifact here in terms of a statistic. Airbnb, I was wondering about this. What is an optimum product, right? How do you know what is an optimum product? And it also ties into this product life cycle aspect. When you know you have an MVP, where do you go beyond that, right? The article talks about truly evolving the product and truly getting to understand the market and the customer needs. And I was wondering what would be a good example to kind of share that. Airbnb started off by renting mattresses, right? That's how they started. Look what they're doing today and where they are, right? They are creating authentic experiences for customers so they feel that they belong in a place. So they're connecting, they are a marketplace that is connecting different parts of the world. So that evolution is amazing. And all that happens when you really empower your product managers to think big. Right?
Funny that you were mentioning them, because they've been in the news just recently saying that product management is over.
Interesting.
Yeah. So actually what you're saying, and I love that, is guys, you did so well that you don't recognize the fact that you took the right decisions and now you're just jumping and doing things that are going to hurt you in the future. So
I think that's
a real story of product management.
That's also, I see, is a pitfall that a company needs to watch out for, right? Once you get good at something, if you are stopping at a certain point and you're not really fostering that big room thinking and kind of thinking big for the long term, you might think that I've gotten so good at figuring this out. Now it's a factory method where I can just churn more ideas. That's something I would watch out for. I would love to dig deeper into it. The other part I liked here was how the article talks about strategic product activities, inbound, outbound. That kind of gives, I've had many product managers come to me and say, what does a typical day in a life of a product manager look like and such, right? So that kind of lists out a couple of things I want to pull out in that product life cycle that I kind of did not agree. If you can scroll down a page in that diagram for the product life cycle management, it does talk about, it does seem sequential for me: innovation, analysis, development, go to market, and in life. In reality, I think a lot of these things we're doing in parallel. I would look at it as, start with discovery, understand your market, understand your customers, do that research first, and then move into trying a prototype, test and learn, and then you kind of take it to market and see where you go, and then you expand. So I would kind of use different words, a few different perspectives here, but in general, I think we get it that there is a method to the madness. You don't just simply come up with something. There is a method to this. The other thing in this article, me being a big, I'm big on inclusion and making sure that we use the right words and mindsets. The one thing that I really didn't appreciate is the reference to a janitor versus a CEO. Well, that's not quite.
I agree with you on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a janitor can be a CEO, a leader. It's fine. I think it's just a choice of those words could be a bit better. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot to learn in this article. Yeah. Open
It's
to
funny
it.
to see. It's funny to see how a leadership-oriented article didn't demonstrated leadership with inclusivity the right way. So
Yes.
yeah, good point here, Romia.
It got me up there, and then when I was looking at towards the end of the article, which is what you remember the most, I remember that the most now. It's like, oh, why wasn't there attention paid to that?
Yeah. Did you learn any new trend here on the report? Anything that was surprising to you? Something that you didn't recognize in the industry before reading the report?
I liked some of the choice of their thought process and the words. One thing that did stand out to me was if you don't really empower people and have a proper way of autonomous decision making, you're just running a series of projects and not a product.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've seen that, and I've struggled a bit to kind of figure out how to put that in words, and that kind of resonated with me. And what surprised me was some of the statistics that they share here in the page above. I believe over 58% of 54% of product managers are kind of doing their thing, but then they are also now thrown into other activities. That is an interesting statistic that I kind of saw. And 52% of product managers are actually doing firefighting. That was an interesting statistic there, because that's not productive at all if you're just reacting to someone in terms of actions to take. You can have an AI do that these days.
This is a very interesting point. Thank you very much, Ramya, for sharing this with us. Martin, David, anything that you would like to add on this one, or just the thoughts that Ramya shared with us?
Yeah, I like the point about being inclusive. Just wondering when is the article dated, because we are kind of like in 2024.
2021.
Okay, yeah, that was it. Yeah, it's okay for 2021. That's kind of like not okay for 2024.
Someone said it wasn't okay even in 1900s.
Yeah, but I agree. Yeah, but
Yes.
for articles, yeah.
Okay. I extremely understand your point here. Thank you very much. We have more leaguers joining us. We have Etty here, says one of our mentees, our beautiful mentees, saying that you need people to trust you as product leader. This is so correct. We have Barak, another mentee here joining. Happy to be here and happy to have you here with us, Barak from Tel Aviv. We have Alon, one of our mentors, joining from London. So many of you guys here in the audience. Keep it coming. Introduce yourself, network, challenge us with questions, everything that comes to your mind. David, you are next with a super interesting and large, I have to say, artifact. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
So this is a really nice one. This is a leadership competency matrix template made by a company named Zavi. By the way, leaguers, all the materials, all the artifacts are going to be listed for you in the description of the event, wherever it is that you watch us right now, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So don't worry, we've got your back. Everything is there. Now, just so you'll see, guys, how large it is. It's like super big. Now we are going to dive right in, and David, the stage is yours.
And I read
Also,
every word of it, so that was a pretty interesting exercise. But honestly, I didn't know this one even existed. It's always good to have an aligned and common framework for an organization. Definitely when it's a very large organization with multiple different roles, and you want to promote people to be leaders, you have to have kind of like a Bible or a go-to document in which you understand kind of like the criteria and how to build leadership and what are like the different stages. Uh, so definitely this is very, very comprehensive, sometimes even too comprehensive, but it's always good to have it as kind of like a go-to artifact. I think that in light of being open and transparent in organizations, having this one available to everyone in the organization, understanding where they are and where they can be next and what do they need to do to be there, and having that aligned with their managers, create a very open and transparent culture. So that is really, really good in that regards. And it also kind of like reminds you as a leader that you need to encourage continuous learning. You need to work with your team on their career path, and kind of like how do you create a culture that people are encouraged to take risks, to go to the next level, to take more than what they're actually doing right now. So this is really, really good in that regards. And I think that it also kind of like recognizes and rewards success of people, getting them to the next level, and it motivates them so they know what they need to be to get there. So I really like it. I think that it's very good to have this one, and it's, when you create those career paths, when you have those discussions, then you have kind of like the Bible to go to. So I love it. Yeah.
I agree with you on this one. I also love the fact they have a description for the things that are included under competency. So they explain what is business acumen to them. What is it
Correct.
to be a visionary? What is it to be influencing? Just not just using words, but having somewhat of a common understanding around the team. It sounds like everyone does that, but actually, only few companies
Yeah.
go beyond, the term, and actually put it on like a state of understanding where is it that we are going as a product culture. This is great. Now, David, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. What are the things you did not like about
So
this
it it
leadership
it
competency
it
matrix?
resonates really well with the three commandments. So first of all, no metrics attached whatsoever. So it's
Yeah.
all about goals, but no numbers, no metrics. Like, what does it mean to understand better? So I don't know what does that mean. Respond to changes. So let's say, I don't know. Be able to adapt to 3 product changes in a quarter. That makes more sense to me than just the kind of like saying about being able to respond to changes. So I think that, and since there's no one formula, I understand where it's coming from, because each organization has its own kind of like metrics associated, which brings me to the next point, which is it's very good as a generic framework, but needs to be adapted to each and every organization depending on the size, maturity, and the leadership DNA of the organization. But it's definitely an amazing starting point. So you can just tweak some of those um, points here and adapt to your organization. Second is they don't really look at embrace failure and learn from failures, which was one of my commandments, which I strongly believe this is a very powerful leadership skill. Because if you don't, if you're afraid to fail, you will not be able to go to the next level of leadership, which I think that's something that needs to be added here. I think that kind of like it needs to be adapted, needs to you need to attach some metrics, you need to be more kind of like um, understanding of what to expect here, and overall it does a very good job at that.
I love that. I agree with what you're saying. And if put this in other words, maybe here at Product League, we will create our own leadership competency matrix template one day. It's about going into the details and the quantifying of the expectations. I think that you nailed this like lack of performance here on the template side, because it is great that they put the words or the North Stars into words, but this is just a starting point, as you said. Right now, we need everyone to understand where do they stand in relation to this template, because as we can see, there are like different types of roles here: intermediate, advanced, proficient. This is great, but how do I know if I'm in advanced or just intermediate?
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
And
Martin
I
and Rami, I can see that you are very interested in this artifact as well, and I think you have some points to share with us, and I can't wait to hear them. So go ahead.
By the way, it's a great framework, but it is a lot of words. Two things I would, so plus adding with what David said, I didn't see the emphasis on customer. I always think about being customer centric and working backwards from there. I didn't see the emphasis for that. And how could we actually think about it from a skills perspective? Yes, these are all good things, but what are some of the specific skills that I can work towards? And to your point, Maria, so that I know when I move from intermediate to advanced to the next, right? So those are the 2 points.
Great points, if I may. Thank you very much, Ramya. Martin?
Yeah, I love this one, to be honest. Even though like there is, room for improvement, and we always can iterate on this because there's always going to be different angles to kind of look at this framework. Moria, you might remember, but 3 weeks ago, I kind of shared something similar to this.
Correct.
Like prepared by my own for.
Yeah, but this was your own version.
There you go.
A better one.
Where basically my angle was a slightly different is instead of like just like leadership competencies on level of mastery, it was more regarding the career of the PMs, like what's expected from an associate PM, from a PM, a senior PM, a principal, like a director, and so on moving forward. Try to give them, like clear examples, like, and set up the stage for them to work on those competencies and make sure that as you are, discussing leadership, not talking to be a leader, but, executing to get to a leader, help them with examples and, measuring how success is going to look like.
Yeah, I do remember, and I agree with you. The only reason why we can somewhat grill this framework is because there is much to discuss here, right? But we just want a little bit more, to nail it to the end, and absolutely. Now we're staying with you, and we are now moving to talk about a different artifact.
Awesome.
I need to make sure that you are ready, because this is
ready.
a very interesting one. It's a leadership assessment one. We are going to share this with the audience, and this is a very long one. So we are going to jump to page 7 onward. And while this is being shared with here it is, with the audience, tell us everything you think.
Sure. All right. I'm going to start maybe with, maybe the most important piece and like a conclusion that I believe that this is quite too complex, like for to start with, I would say. All right. So I'm going to start maybe highlighting some of the things that I like about, Dr. Hartman's approach on this. So this is basically, so let's talk a little bit about like how Dr. Hartman approaches, developing an axiology to be able to, like measure the value profile. I think the metric is called HVP. So it's a framework. We all love frameworks in product management, right? But sometimes we overdo them. or we over apply them. That's why I believe it today, like it might be maybe a little bit, like too complex to start with. But it helps us to evaluate, different types of values, which is essential for informed decision making and, critical thinking. Things that, as I mentioned, I don't really like is that even though it's comprehensive, you need to read a lot to understand about it. Maybe providing more tailored guidance on or applying critical thinking scores in fields as, business, education, in different industries would actually help to, like roll this out and roll it over like a little bit more easier. Cliches on this one, maybe simplifying complex concepts, providing relatable examples, and emphasizing real-world applications can help to avoid some of cliches that we see here. I want to share my screen if that's okay with you, Moria. That it's gonna kind of like simplify what you're actually sharing there. Very quick. Give me a second. So the whole principle of Dr. Hartman is like there's 6 like main areas. Can you see my screen? Just double checking.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Perfectly.
Cool. Where the idea is to measure clarity and understanding, and like bias, or if there is bias or there's real attention, to the importance in each of the areas, right? And for example, one area is like empathy. So how you are thinking about, like other users, how you are actually making good decisions based on, your measurement of those perspectives. How you're going to apply practical thinking, how you are already, focusing on which are going to be the results. How you're going to judge the success of the system, which are going to be those structures, framework, or rules that you're going to set up to be able to measure that success. How do you value yourself, right? Like that self-esteem, that depending on the moment where you are, if you're making a good decision or it's going to be a problem, a challenge, or an opportunity in the future. The current role awareness, so the impact it's going to have in the current role. And last but not least, how it should be, like future well-being of like this person, work-life balance, etc. How that is actually affecting, the decision-making that you do. So as you can see, it's a lot, right? To kind of like putting into perspective, like when you're evaluating leadership skills or making decisions. And yeah, I would not necessarily recommend this one to start for maybe more, like entry level, like leaders. And maybe if you're super interested in the psychology, how people make choices, etc., dive deep into this kind of frameworks.
Perfect. I love that. I'm going to touch upon something that you mentioned, because this is actually it's something that we all discussed here a few times, and I think for a good reason. We now reviewed 3 artifacts. For these 3 artifacts, what we said is that this is great, but how do I feel? How do I give myself a self-score when it comes to leadership? And how do we put numbers so one can actually quantify either their colleagues, their team members, the one that manages, or themselves? So I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that, because I think here we have an opportunity. And I said, I'm going to challenge you because this is very challenging. How do we advise everyone who is watching us right now and is willing and interested in building real culture, product culture in their company, allowing this true leadership to grow within with the understanding of how to evaluate it correctly? What are the tips that we are going to give them in order to take these great initiatives that we see, but to make them into a more quantitative ways to measure the progress think about your tips. I'm going to give you a few seconds. I'm going to start with one of my own. So what I think that we need to do is to make sure that we don't set the bar too high. The reason I'm saying that is because, unfortunately, oftentimes when we see the need for a change in organizations, especially big ones, so someone from the outside is coming and then set the bar into something that is like way ahead of where the company really is. So we need to understand that we have to start with somewhat of benchmarks, even the most simplest ones, and then to add a delta, add like somewhat of a degree of improvement over that. But we can never put or set a too high bar, because what we make then is just that instead of people finding the power within themselves, they just find themselves disappointed because they can't really reach that evaluation that was now set. So this was my tip. What do you think? How do we set real, progressive, value-oriented cultures, product cultures in organizations, and make them to be more quantified?
Totally.
Go ahead, guys.
I could start on this one. I don't know, like I think you nailed it, right? Like you need to try to define valuable, very valuable, so we can perceive the value of like those deliverables or goals that we're going to be working, but they need to be attainable. I would say that one important thing, and I'm going to discuss a little bit later in one of my other artifacts, like is how you time box those goals. I think it's important too, because I think you need to frame them in a way that you could measure them as soon as possible at the same time, right? Like, so make it, like something that you are going to be able to iterate, have a good definition of success, and be able, to move forward from there. So yeah, that would be one of my recommendations, right? Like try to maybe not have like such a big scope and, time box it like in a maximum of maybe 90 days, something like that.
Great one. Thank you very much, Martin. Just a second, Ramya. I see that we have questions in the audience asking about the materials. Don't worry, guys. After the session, you're going to receive all the links. You're going to see everything. So you just need to focus here on these 3 magnificent mentors. Take notes. Don't worry. We've got your back with all the links. Yes, Ramya. I can't wait to hear from you.
I would like to add a couple of thoughts here. Number one, it's very important to be clear about what the business or the organization wants. What do you want, truly? What do you want to achieve, right? Do you want to create a workforce that is highly productive and does more with less and is more effective that way? And yes, you can use measures to do that. And yes, maybe there is some of those aspects. The other aspect I would also encourage organizations to consider is, are you playing a finite game or an infinite game? Are you really supporting the growth of the people and your workforce, right? If so, you're going to have to look at things a bit differently. There are going to be things that you can and should measure, and there are going to be things that you cannot measure, right? And how do you go about understanding that, right? How do you go about building that kind of a trust in a place where people really want to care, and they go above and beyond to make things happen? So there is that aspect, because at the end of the day, we are in the people business. We are, like Simon Sinek says this. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, right? We are in the people business. So there are going to be things that you are not going to be able to like put some numbers and measure and things like that. So it's going to be an interesting balance. And that's why leadership is much, much more challenging and much, much more important now than ever before, given AI and this whole blend between human machine that we've got to learn to work with. How do you do that in a respectful manner where you are really encouraging your product managers to think differently. And it's not just product managers working in collaboration with the rest of the people. So that's going to be an interesting aspect to seriously consider.
Ramya, I highly agree with you. At the same time, I think that too often organizations are using these people skills, people business theme as an excuse, because, and I do agree with you that this is a big portion, maybe the most important portion of what we do, right? Especially if we're talking about not just product management, but product leadership. But oftentimes we can be creative about how we evaluate and how we measure that. For example, just quantifying the number of team members that feel comfortable to suggest new ideas on big team meetings. Okay, a simple measurement. Or, how often is it that people advise each other on the team? Or how many are willing to take part in a mentorship discussion within the organization and stuff like that? I highly agree with you. I just want to make sure that everyone who is watching us right now don't use this people as business of people theme as an excuse not to measure a thing, because we have to challenge ourselves. There is no other way to say that, and we have to find a way to quantify even the things that are hard to be quantified.
You've got to tell the story. You've got to tell the story in a way that the other person understands. That's what it boils down to. And how you go about telling that story with numbers and qualitative and quantitative aspects, that's part of the job, right? But I just wanted to highlight not to get lost in the aspect of just measuring. And I've seen dashboards over dashboards where everything is measured, but we forget that, hey, we are working with people here. Did I give a clear vision? Did I provide the team things to be successful? So those are also aspects that's got to be thought about.
Absolutely agree with you. Thank you very much. David?
Yeah. I just want to add one tip that I'm using is, first of all, I'm being very transparent with my team as of what my goals are and what metrics I'm being measured on. So when I come and discuss that with them, they know kind of like the big picture. They know that I'm also subject to that, and it's very common, and I'm also kind of like in the same challenge as they are. And the other thing is that I kind of like try to think what would be in terms of metrics, what do I think that's going to be 80% of success for the person. So I do want them to kind of like try to get to the extra 20%, because if I'm going to give them something that I'm highly confident they'll be successful, it's not going to be very challenging for them. So I just want to have the still small 20% that they need to do the extra effort to be successful and get to the next level. And I will be helping them do that. So that's kind of like how I envision that.
I love that. I want to emphasize the fact that you are sharing that your work is being quantified and tested and evaluated as well. So it's not just about the team members, it's about the team as a whole. I love that. And Ramya, we are back with you. Are you ready to review another artifact?
Yes, we are. And talking about measures and the 360 feedback, that's what we're going to talk about next.
Yes.
And I believe it's the... Okay. It's a different...
Tell the audience a little bit about the agenda behind the 360-degree feedback, and then we'll dive right in.
The tool that was shared, it's pretty extensive and comprehensive in terms of being able to really understand different aspects of performance, so to speak, from accountability to communication and interpersonal skills and so on and so forth, right? So the idea is to understand all aspects of product managers and leaders specifically in being able to grow a team of product leaders. I really resonated quite a bit with the accountability and all the aspects, as in it goes through great detail, and it's like a Likert scale of being able to look at, are you taking responsibility for your results? Are you a person who others can trust, and things like that? Some of these things are subjective, and of course, getting feedback from others is one way of measuring progress. The things that really stood out to me that resonated quite well is how well are you using empirical data, talking about measurements. How well are you using empirical data, and at the same time bringing in aspects of truly collaborative leadership, working with others, and that's where the interpersonal skills aspect also come into place. There was also mention of the aspect of situational awareness, talking about firefighting and being reactive. I also it occurred to me as I was going through this tool, as much as we say that we want to get out of being reactive in nature, we want product managers to be able to think big and such. There will always be a situation where you will have to dive deep as the situation demands. So the ability to go up and down is pretty crucial for a product manager, and also to go wide and narrow, right? So this tool kind of measures those things and kind of gets those aspects also covered. The one thing though that I didn't quite agree with is also the aspect of act like an owner, act like you care, kind of a thing, rather than do you really care to create that impact, right? And also the aspect of the customer centricity was a bit low in this one. I would love to see more in terms of, for example, what we talk about jobs to be done in product management, right? So how many customers did you truly create an impact for, and how did that really help the business? Those are some of the things that I would love to see be added in here. But overall, I think it's good. Implementing something like this in reality is definitely needs to be contextualized, right? Because it is very, very generic, and it is also quite long. It's quite comprehensive. It's quite long, and I can't imagine answering 90 questions correctly and seeking feedback like that. So if we can kind of simplify this further, that would be a good next iteration of this.
Yes, absolutely. And there is an error with the file for whatever reason. I don't know why we can't show it, but we are working on presenting it to the audience so everyone can see that, because this is a very interesting one. Tell me, Ramya, is a 360-degree feedback survey is something that you are going to use in your company or with your team?
So we do use a feedback. I mean, I'm big on feedback, but I'm also big on attention span of people to get quality input, right? You're not going to get people to read 90 questions and spend at least 40 minutes to an hour, depending on the person, kind of giving that kind of feedback. I tend to keep it short. I would love to use a simplified version of this, but currently we do use it. We do have ways where we get short bursts of feedback, and we don't have to wait for the feedback cycle then and there, right? It's very much part of our product operations as such, and nothing more than maximum 3 minutes. Nothing more than maximum 3 minutes.
Yep, I agree with you on this one. I apologize for not sharing the material. For whatever reason, there is an error with opening that, but we will make sure to have the link included.
Yeah, I can share the screen if you
yes,
if you think that would help.
do.
Yeah.
let's do that. Maybe it will work on your end.
Share screen. Okay, does this help?
Here it is. Here it is. Zoom in so everyone can actually read and understand what you're saying. That this is going to take a lot of time for everyone to review, because there is like a long list of questions here, tens of questions, if I remember correctly. And then we need. You see, there is an issue. I think there is an issue with Google Drive. And this is why we cannot present that, but that's okay, because this will be included for everyone to read and review in the materials. Ramya, thank you very much for reviewing this material, because I think this is one that is a little bit more known to the audience than other artifacts that we mentioned here, but still we need to make sure that we talk about it correctly.
Yeah, and one other thing I would add right before we wrap that up is I did go through all the 90 questions and I tried to take it myself, right? Right, that's what we do.
That's demonstrating
Just
leadership.
the mentor here.
That's commitment.
I couldn't go past the first 3 or 4. I was out by then. It's like, whatever, I'm just going to click and be done with it, right? So you don't want that. That's going to hurt. So simplification is number 1. And number 2, implementation of this, try to tailor it to your company and what you want, right? Some of those words are quite generic. So you can even reduce it to 1 per category maybe, and be very specific based on your OKRs or your measurable SMART goals that you have.
Sounds like it also tests your ADHD.
It did. Well, I did learn what not to do.
Yeah.
Loving that. Thank you very much, Ramya. This was a pleasure to discuss the 360-degree feedback survey with you. Martin, we are back with you. This is another interesting artifact. This one here is the product leader map. It's a blog post by Dave Martin that include product leader map and all the sorts of tips or better understanding of what leadership includes within this big term of leadership. We are here to listen, and you are here to review.
Awesome. Well, see, this is one of the articles that I was thinking, why didn't I read this before? I loved this one. I feel like it synthesized, like us as product leaders, what we do, what we need to do. And it formalizes, and puts in the structure our day-to-day. So for the audience, the product leader map introduces a framework for product leaders to enhance, their effectiveness in 3 main areas: products, team, and culture. So the goal is to create a delightful and profitable and enduring products with capable, focused, and content teams within a purposeful and collaborative culture. So on the product side, focus on vision, strategy, and performance. We could drill down in each of those, but I think it's pretty straightforward, at this point, with the audience. Then on the culture side, focus on interesting principles, storytelling, and evidences, coaching. Sorry. Focus on the team, like how important it is, for us, like leaders, to hire and start building, a culture of, collaboration and inside the product team. So things that I like. It's very comprehensive framework, and despite the one that I presented before, that I believe it's kind of hard to swallow, hard to understand, hard to read, and maybe too complex. This one is pretty straightforward. It has very clear guidance and emphasis on the balance between all those different areas. one of the things I was mentioning before is this one focuses at the same time in an iterative approach. It recommends you not to set up goals more than 90 days to be able to set up and measure how things are going, how you can iterate on one specific area and not all at the time. So it has that, and this is, I would say, the third thing that I like, that it's focused on specifically like in one area, and has a lot of focus on coaching. So it highlights the importance of, for us, like leaders, in influencing the behavior, the process adoption, and the personal development of each of our team members. Maybe some things that it might be missing is like, and this is kind of like something that we see, I think, in every artifact that we've been discussing, is like lack of specific examples. The framework provides a broad guidance, right? But it could benefit of more specific discussions, to have like a easier discussion on how to implement it and so on. It always talks about continuous improvement, and that sometimes it's a little bit like cliche to hear about that like all the time, but it focuses on specific strategies or methodologies to take to action those to make the concept more actionable. Spot on stuff that I saw here, and for me it's very important as a leader too, and we usually take a lot of time, and for sure for everybody here in the audience that needed to hire product people, and because of the importance and the impact that they have in the organization, you need to have a very big focus on hiring and making sure that all the attributes, they're not just focusing on like what they're going to be able to deliver, but at the same time the person. The importance of evidence, sort of relying on data and evidence rather than assumptions, to make successful product strategies. And then last but not least, again, the regular coaching for leaders. So effective coaching can drive behavioral change, enhance leadership skills, and improve team performance and outcomes. So yeah, to conclude, I really loved like this article. We love here at the company Venn diagrams. I feel like what you're sharing in the screen is basically what I have here in my background. And I never seen one for leaders, and yeah, I think it's an awesome piece of material to share with the audience.
Absolutely, they nailed it. I love what you shared, and yes, I think this is something that we see as kind of like a progress within our industry, not just talking about this Venn diagram is tech, business, psychology, design, but actually diving deeper into the understanding of what leadership really is. I love that. Thank you very much, Martin. And I want to, yes, Ramya, I'm with you before you're going to say something, because I just want to say that your very own mentee is here in the audience. I agree with Ramya that as product managers, we need to figure out the metrics that matter. So I just love to see this product love, and I had to share this with the audience, and we're back with you. Yes, Ramya.
That was a nice note to see. Thank you, Sunita. Martin, I just wanted to echo one thing that Martin shared. It's really important for us to see some case studies, some real tangible scenarios where some of these things may have been successfully used versus failed even. It'll be great to see both the side of the cases and review those.
Yep, I agree with you. And I think there are really great points that you guys mentioned here today as a group. And it's not over yet, because we have the last artifact to be reviewed. It's going to be by you, David. It's a very interesting one, because this one is a book. Is the book named Product Leadership by Richard Banfield, Martin Eriksson, and Nate Walkingshaw. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. Tell us what you think about this book.
Honestly, I didn't know this book existed, and there's a lot of books out there about product, but you don't really get books that take you to the kind of like insides of how good product teams operate and what works and what's not, and kind of like how do product leaders take these teams to the next level. So that's kind of like unique in that sense and very insightful. The book is mostly comprised of a lot of interviews by CPOs and product leaders, telling and showcasing how they do that in real life, giving like kind of like the good and bad of running product teams and how leadership is perceived, how leadership is assumed by the teams. They also really emphasize the customer love and the consciousness of understanding that we create products that customers use, and we need to consider kind of like in every decision we take how customers are going to be affected by the decision. So I think that it's unique in that sense that it looks at not just the processes and what product management is and what is kind of like good practices, but just kind of like how do people operate, how do teams work together, and what works and what's not.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is a somewhat of a known book, although I have to say I don't know many people who actually read that. Did you guys read this book? Martin, Ramya, David?
I have not. I would
Yeah.
love to. I'm going to follow up though. Yeah.
If you asked me this a week ago, the answer was no, but today it's yes, of course.
But now they invested a mentor that you are. Yeah. Martin, what about you? Did you read the book?
I'm embarrassed to say that I bought it like maybe a year ago, and I haven't read it.
Well, purchasing the book and actually reading the book is not the same thing. Unfortunately. Otherwise, I read like 4 different books this week only. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this was a great session, but we are not stopping here because although the time is like we are way behind time and we need to finish, there is one question that came from the audience that is something that our mentors are being asked over and over and over again. So I think it's worth spending some time discussing that because everyone is asking that, both mentees and mentors. We all know this feeling that we are busy firefighting all day at the office, not having enough time to focus on the things that matter and to really elevate not just our work, but our career into the leadership position. What are your tips to share with Etty as for how to overcome this challenge? And thank you very much, Etty, our very own Product League mentee, for sharing these questions. So how do you do that? Ramya, go ahead.
I can start, and I welcome Martin and David to chime in too with it, because this is it's a golden question. One of the things I would say is to bring about change. Number one, sometimes it may not be the best thing to resist the change from the beginning, but rather to influence the change, right? So I would, number one, ask of leadership to truly provide the training and the skill sets to product managers to truly understand what good looks like, right? Like let's give them that opportunity to learn this craft. It's a beautiful practice. I personally love product management because it is not just one thing, right? And you get to work, you're a connector in chief. You get to work with so many people and create something together. Now, many product managers don't know this. They've been just given the label of a product manager or a title, and they've just been asked to go firefight. So number one, let's empower them and give them the skills and open the world up for them. And number two, let's work with the executives a bit, right? Let's try to sit down and help them understand what they want to achieve, because in the motions of things, this whole top-down priorities and tasks that come down, that's what leads to this firefighting, right? So it's a whole cultural hackathon. Culture-a-thon is what we need to do.
Love that phrase. Love that phrase. Thank you very much, Ramya. David.
I think that it's a skill that you develop with time, and when you feel that you're firefighting and you have too much on your plate, go consult with one of your peers, with your product owner or a product operations person. But I think that even going and speaking to your manager, telling them, this is what I have on my plate. What do you think I should be focusing? That's a very good question, and it doesn't show any weakness. It shows that you are very conscious and you want to concentrate on the right stuff. And if you again go to the metrics, if you have measurable goals, so you know which one of these tasks on your list will move the needle for your most important goals. If it doesn't, it means that I know people could be waiting, there could be bugs, there could be customers, but you shouldn't be focusing on it because otherwise you will miss the big picture. And it's very hard to make these decisions, but that's what we're here about. I mean, this is kind of like what product leadership is.
So true. So true. Thank you very much for that, David. And last but not least, Martin.
Nice. So I'm gonna be honest, right? I don't like the
Please
term
do. Please
fighting.
be.
You know, I think that would start always by, setting up the context of what firefighting means, because I feel like it has kind of like a negative, connotation, like you are always kind of like fixing problems that you should be approaching like all the time. So for me, it's more about prioritizing what really is important, because I don't really believe, that everything you have in your plate, has the same level of importance, like in a way where you can't address one at a time, or, prioritize accordingly what really matters. So, and just fun fact, right? Like, I feel like here where I work in the company, that's not a terminology that it's used lately. Like I feel like we've done all us here in the product team at such a good job, trying to focus on priority and what really matters and what's aligned with our objectives, that today nobody feels that they're firefighting anymore. So I think it's more about, trying to set up a good foundation and, like conceptualize what that means, and try at the same time to focus one thing at a time, and, getting support with your manager to get this stuff done.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much, Martin. This is Product League. 3 mentors joining on one stage to share all the tips, the tricks, and everything you need to know. Today, it was about product management evaluation the right way. Thank you very much, David Habusha, Martina Zarga de Maria, and Ramya Grama for joining us today, for sharing your stories, your experiences, your thoughts, everything that you shared with us. I had a blast. Can't wait to have you again on our stage. How was it for you?
Really
I loved it. I loved it. And I really appreciate the energy you bring in, Maria. A really good conversational style. I would love to come back for more.
Awesome.
This is being recorded, so we can hold you. We can hold you for that. Just wait. We're going to have 3 of you back on our stage again. Thank you so much for being the awesome mentors that you are, and for being the fantastic panelists and speakers that you've been today. Can't wait to have you on our stage again. And until then, go league it up, leaguers. Have a fantastic day ahead. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.